As we greet you here from my sitting room in my home in the beautiful Caribbean island of Trinidad, wherever you are in the world and you're viewing this recording, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Greeting of peace be unto you wherever you are. It will not be long again before I will have to travel once again. My book, the methodology for the study of the Qur'an, has been translated to the Serbian Bosnian language and has been published by a publishing company in Belgrade, and I am going to Belgrade for the launch of that book. Most likely there will be a public lecture at the University of Belgrade. There will be an announcement on my website. So if you are in that region of the world and you can drive over to Belgrade, you are most welcome to come and attend that public lecture at the University of Belgrade. I don't know if there'll be any other public lectures in Belgrade. Maybe we can have one at the masjid, but that still has to be arranged. So do please keep viewing my website for announcements concerning a public lecture in Belgrade, and for the launch of my book, Methodology for the Study of the Qur'an in the Serbian Bosnian language, which should be sometime soon in the month of December, inshallah. We will have probably another 2 sessions at the IBN, and I am trying to devote them to the electronic digital money cryptocurrencies. I've been receiving a lot of emails with a lot of comments, and we like to devote it to that. But during these next 2 programs with IBN, wherever you are in the world, you're most welcome to call and to offer a comment, but try to reserve your comments for the subject of cryptocurrencies. Someone called from Jordan on the last occasion with a question pertaining to Dajjal, and I prefer to deal with that subject tonight rather than at the IBN program where we are dealing with cryptocurrencies. So next coming Yawmul Ahad or Sunday, and the one after that as well, you're welcome to call from wherever in the world you are and offer your comments and your questions on the subject of money. I have made a request. Wherever you are in the world, please go to your Imam, go to your Sheikh, go to your Mufti, go to the scholars of Islam, wherever you are, and do what should have been done 100 years ago. Do it forcefully. 100 years ago, when the gold and silver coins were being taken out of the market and replaced with bogus and fraudulent and utterly haram paper money, 100 years ago we did not do what we should have done. And the scholars of Islam, the established scholars of Islam, the establishment betrayed the religion of Islam at that time. Yes, alhamdulillah, there were some scholars who with remarkable courage and integrity and with knowledge stood up and opposed this new money that was coming out of Washington, coming out of the IMF, coming out of Bretton Woods and so on. But of course, IMF and the Bretton Woods came later. But in the 1920s and 1910s and 20s and so on, IMF was not there as yet. And these scholars opposed the paper money, yes. But there are others, some of whom are famous, very famous ones, and they even gave fatwa and they wrote books and published books in support of the paper money. I won't mention their names, it will be surprising to some of you. But that failure took place 100 years ago, and this time it must not take place. I know that the muftis are preparing to give fatwa that the cryptocurrencies are halal. Yes, the muftis are preparing to give a fatwa on that subject, and I want you to go to them and ask them to give the fatwa, and it must be given in writing. And when your scholars say, we don't know the subject, we'll then ask them, could you kindly direct us to someone who knows the subject and in whom we can have confidence that he will guide us correctly on the subject. So I'm making an appeal to you again, and I'll do it again on IBN. I want you, wherever you are in the world, do not fail the Ummah again, this time as we failed 100 years ago. Go to the scholars of Islam. Go in particular to the established scholars of Islam, the ones who are held in the highest esteem in every community. Go to them and say to them, we need a fatwa, we need direction, we need guidance. Tell us, is the money we are now using, paper money, is it halal or haram? Are we allowed to use it, or should we stop using it? And the money which is coming to replace it, the cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, is it halal or haram? Are we allowed to use it, or should we refrain from using it? Tell them we're going to have to answer in the grave. And you, Maulana, you, Sheikh, you will also have to answer in the grave. So please give us an answer and put it down in writing, so that we'll have before us the proof that this money is halal or this money is haram. Please, I am begging you one more time, stop whatever you're doing and go to them. Go to the established scholars, contact them by whatever means you have, and force them to answer at this time. Having said that, now let us turn to the subject that we could not take up in the IBN lectures. Someone said that Dajjal is a jinn, and that Dajjal is the son of Iblis. Dajjal is a jinn, and Dajjal is the son of Iblis. Now, my book entitled, this is the first book on Dajjal, you know about it, Dajjal, the Qur'an, and the beginning of history, or Awwaluz Zaman. It's being printed now in Malaysia. And the French translation is perhaps almost completed already. So it will soon be published in French, and it will soon be available in English. It is being translated to Malay, it is being translated to Bahasa Indonesia, it is being translated to Russian, it is being translated to Pashto Dari, it is being translated to the Serbian language, yes, Serbian, Bosnian, and I don't know how many more languages. The translations are already in progress. Now that book answers this question. So I'm going to give you an answer now, but I want you to read that book. In fact, you can start ordering the book now. You can go to my bookstore, imranhosein.com, imranhosein.com, and you can place your order for the book in English. You can place your order for the book in French. And as soon as the book is printed, we'll send it to you, inshallah. You can also download the book now. It's already available on my website, or is it available on my bookstore? And you can download the book free of charge. You can also download a PDF file of the book. And if you want to make a small donation, you can do so by sending us an email to my bookstore. And then we'll send you an invoice which you can use to send a payment through PayPal, for example, because it has to be a business transaction. They give problems when it's a donation. So now back to the question. Is Dajjal a jinn? Is Dajjal the son of Iblis, of Shaitan? That's the question that came from Jordan. And when we go to a subject in Islam like this, where do we look for the answer? The answer is always to be found first of all in the Book of Allah. You don't go to the Hadith first, do you? No, you go first to the Qur'an. Does the Qur'an make mention of Dajjal by name? No, it does not. No, it does not. Does that mean that there's nothing in the Qur'an on Dajjal? Of course not. That's wrong. Because there are two kinds of verses in the Qur'an, don't forget that. There are the ayat muhkamat, or the verses of the plain and clear, and in these verses you find the name, Dajjal. But if it's not there in the ayat muhkamat, then there are also other verses of the Qur'an called ayat mutashabihat, which are verses which have to be interpreted. So you will not find the name Dajjal there, but you'll have to interpret to be able to recognize that this verse is dealing with Dajjal. Are there such verses in the Qur'an? Yes, there are. And in my book entitled Dajjal, the Qur'an and Awwal Zaman, or the beginning of history, the most important point made in that book pertaining to Dajjal comes from a verse of the Qur'an. I have in the past made mention of it. Let me do it one more time. And let me speak slowly, because you are my students, and tomorrow you are going to be the teachers. When Allah calls me away, when you bury me, you make a dua and then get back onto the battlefield. Don't spend your time praising me. Get back onto the battlefield and do the work that I expect of you to do in struggling in the mission of truth, that truth might be proclaimed in the world and that falsehood might be challenged and vanquished and defeated. That's your mission. That's your mission in life. So what does the Qur'an say? It is Surah As-Sad. And in Surah As-Sad, Allah speaks about a fitna that He caused Sulaiman alayhi salam to experience, the Prophet Solomon. And when Sulaiman alayhi salam experienced this fitna, he saw something. And it is clear that what he saw, he did in a vision, a ru'ya. He saw something, and when he saw it, he was terrified. It caused him great concern and grief and so on. So it was a fitna. And then he responded with a dua to Allah. Now let's go to that verse. بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ولقد فتنا سليمان وألقينا على كرسيه جسد ثم أناب. And we caused Sulaiman alayhi salam to experience a fitna. We tested him, we tried him, we caused him to experience something which caused him grief. And when he saw what we caused him to see, he turned to Allah penitently. What did Sulaiman alayhi salam see? وَأَلْقَيْنَا, and we cast, we caused to be placed, we cast عَلَى كُرْسِيهِ, on his kursi. For us, kursi is a chair. But for a king, a ruler, you don't say that he has a kursi, you say he has a throne. So we are talking now about the holy state. The holy state, which Allah caused Dawood alayhi salam to establish, the Prophet David. And Allah appointed him as Khalifa of that state. Khalifa, divinely appointed Khalifa or ruler of the state, the holy state. What's the name of that holy state? The Qur'an does not give it a name. The Hadith does not give it a name. The people who lived in that state were the Israelite people, Banu Israel. Did you hear what I said? Let me repeat it. They were not Americans or Germans or Chinese. The people who lived in that state were Banu Israel, the Israelite people. And so the name which has come down in history for that state, which is given by the Israelite people, is the Holy State of Israel. Why should I not accept that name? What's wrong with it? I can't understand. You have objections to that name, that's your problem, not mine. So he is appointed as the Khalifa, the divinely appointed ruler, to govern or to rule over the holy state, which has come to be known as the Holy State of Israel. But it's the holy state established by Nabi Dawood alayhi salam. And Allah caused that state to become powerful. وَشَدَدْنَا. He caused it to become very powerful. And then Nabi Sulaiman alayhi salam, his son, inherited that state. And when he inherited that state, it became a ruling state in the world. That is essentially the meaning of the part of the meaning of the encounter with Saba, the queen of Saba. That Suleiman's state, the holy state of Israel, had become a ruling state in the world, in the sense that no rival could overpower it, or no combination of rivals could overpower it, could challenge it. That's a ruling state. Not that he has to rule every square inch of Chicago, downtown Chicago. No, not at all. So when Allah says that we cast on His kursi, we are talking very plainly and very clearly and without the shadow of a doubt that we're talking about the throne of Sulaiman alayhi salam, the throne which he occupies, on which he symbolizes his rule over the holy state of Israel. You differ with me? You have another opinion? Well, go ahead. Let's hear what you have to say. And my critics have anything I say, they have a different view. Well, then go ahead and expose your view and explain your view and broadcast your view and go ahead, whatever you want to do. But we're moving on. وَأَلْقَيْنَا عَلَى كُرْسِيهِ جَسَدٍ ثُمَّ أَنَابَ. Allah says, we cast on his throne a jasad. And when he saw the jasad, this is a vision, when he saw the jasad, he was so terrified, it caused him such grief and such concern that he immediately turned towards Allah penitently to ask Allah something, to make a dua. قَالَ رَبِّ اغْفِرْ لِي. When you want to ask Allah for something, the sunnah is to first seek forgiveness. This is the sunnah of Nabi Sulaiman alayhi salam. So first of all, he begins by asking Allah for forgiveness before asking for what he wants. قَالَ رَبِّ اغْفِرْ لِي وَهَبْ لِي مُلْكًا لَا يَنْبَغِي لِأَحَدٍ مِّن بَعْدِي إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ الْوَهَّابُ. You, O Allah, you are the one who ordains, who gives. And I'm asking you, Allah, to grant me a kingdom, this holy state of Israel, that none can, it cannot belong to any after me. It cannot belong to any after me. In other words, the holy state, which was established by Nabi Dawood alayhi salam. Are you listening to me in Iran? The holy state, which was established by Nabi Dawood alayhi salam, the Prophet David, and over which Allah appointed Nabi Dawood alayhi salam as Khalifa, divinely appointed Khalifa or Imam. That holy state which Sulaiman alayhi salam inherited, that holy state, he is now asking Allah that it should end with me. That none can inherit it after me. So after Sulaiman alayhi salam, there is no longer a Khalifa. No! No longer a Khalifa, no longer a holy state. It ended with him. It ended with him. None can inherit that holy state after him. Why did he make this dua? What is that jasad that he saw on his throne? Number one, if you want to know what is a jasad, you got to go to the Qur'an. Yes. And in the Qur'an we recall that when Nabi Musa alayhi salam took Banu Israel across the Red Sea, you remember? وَإِذْ فَرَقْنَا بِكُمُ الْبَحْرَ فَأَنْجَيْنَاكُمْ وَأَغْرَقْنَا آلَ فِرْعَوْنَ وَأَنْتُمْ تَنْظُرُونَ. We parted this sea and you were able to pass across the sea to safety in Sinai. Sinai being the desert, not a hospital in Manhattan. And when Pharaoh and his army attempted to cross, the waters came down and they were drowned. So now we are in Sinai. Watini was Zaytuni, Waturi Sinin. Sinin, Sinai. So in Sinai, Allah ordered Moshe alayhi salam to go up the mountain to meet with him. And he left Harun alayhi salam, his brother, in charge of Banu Israel. And while he was up there in the mountain, someone named the Samiri hijacked the Israelite people and rendered Harun alayhi salam helpless, like a coup d'etat. And he ordered the Israelites to hand over their gold to him. And like a goldsmith, he melted the gold. And then he made, like an engineer, he melted the gold and made a calf, a golden calf. And that golden calf was a jasad. And when it was melted and carved in such a way, forged probably is a better word, that when the wind blew in a particular direction, you'd hear the calf mooing, lahu khawan. So that golden calf is referred to in the Qur'an as a jasad, meaning it's just a hollow piece of gold. That's all. It's a body. It has no ruh in it, which gives it life. No. It has no nafs in it, which gives it a self, an identity. No. So in the case of that gold which was melted, that calf is a jasad. A jasad being a body without a soul, is not a living calf, no, and without a nafs. Does the calf have a nafs? No. A nafs is your identity, your capacity to say I, your ability to be able to choose and make a choice. Only angels have a nafs, because an angel could say, I am Jibreel and you are the messenger of Allah. So an angel has a nafs. A jinn, yes, a jinn has a nafs. Angels are created from light, and jinn are created from smokeless fire, jinn. And a jinn can say, Ana khayrun minhu, I am better than him. I am better than him. Khalaqtani min nar wa khalaqtahu min teen. You created me from fire, and you created him from clay, hence I am superior to him. So a jinn can say I. A jinn has a nafs. He has a personal identity. A jinn can also choose, but an angel cannot. وَيَفْعَلُونَ مَا يُؤْمَرُونَ. The angels have to do whatever Allah orders them to do. They have no choice. But a jinn can disobey. And this is what he did. Allah asked him, why did you not obey me when I ordered you to bow down and prostrate before Adam alayhi salam? Why did you disobey? So a jinn has a nafs. The translation in English would be a self. A self. In French, would you say une être? Une être. A self. And human beings, of course, have a nafs. A human being can say, this is my hands, this is my hands, these are my hands, sorry. So the human being has a nafs, he has a personal identity. A human being can also make a choice. Al-haqqu min rabbikum faman sha'a falyu'min wa man sha'a falyakfur. The truth has come from your Lord, and you have the freedom to choose. You could choose to either accept it or to reject it. So a human being has a nafs, but animals don't have a nafs. No. The calf does not have a nafs, but they do have a ruh, which gives them life. And when that ruh is removed, they die. The animals die. So this jasad that the Samiri forged from gold is just a body without a soul, without a ruh. So what is that jasad on the throne of Sulaiman alayhi salam? Meaning someone who appears as a human being, but it's only a body. If you want to sit on the throne, you have to be a human being. And the purpose of your sitting on the throne is because you clearly intend to rule over the holy state of Israel. So it has to be a human being. It cannot be a cow, it cannot be a horse, can it? No. Nabi Sulaiman alayhi salam interprets what he saw on the throne. A human being on the throne who wants to rule over holy Israel. That's right. So in this case, the jasad would be a body of a human being. This is my logical deduction. If you differ with me, let me hear your views. What is the jasad? Nabi Sulaiman alayhi salam, we will see in the dua which is coming now. We see that Nabi Sulaiman alayhi salam understood that jasad who is sitting on his throne wants to rule over his state, holy Israel. That's right. So that jasad has to be in a human form, a human being, not a horse, not a calf or a cow, no. So the jasad that he saw would be a human body, but without a ruh, and a human body without a nafs, without a self. This jasad wants to rule over the holy state of Israel. How do we know that? Why? Because as soon as Nabi Sulaiman alayhi salam saw what he saw, immediately he made this dua. So you have to be able to connect the dots. When you connect the dots, then you are able to very easily recognize. I'm sorry that I have to spend so much time to explain what should be very simple for you to understand. But I have to do this. I explained to you why I'm laboring this for so long. As soon as he saw what he saw, he immediately made a dua, in which first of all he asked Allah for forgiveness, and then he asked Allah to grant him a kingdom or a state which can belong to none after him. Hence cannot belong to the jasad. Cannot belong to the jasad. That is why he made the dua. So who is that jasad? Answer, the jasad who he saw sitting on his throne has to be someone who in Akhirul Zaman would want to inherit the holy state of Israel, who would want to rule over holy Israel. Who can it be? Who can it be? Answer, it is as plain as daylight that jasad sitting on the throne of Sulaiman alayhi salam, which he saw in a vision that Allah granted to him, had to be Dajjal. Had to be Dajjal. Dajjal wants to rule over holy Israel, so that sitting in Jerusalem on the throne of Nabi Dawood and Nabi Sulaiman alayhi salam, over a holy state of Israel that he claims is holy Israel, but it's not. No, it will be a bogus state, because holy Israel cannot be restored. That fellow wants to claim that he is the Messiah. And in order to claim that he is the Messiah, or Al-Masih, and get the Jews to accept his claim that he is the Messiah, he has to rule over what would appear to be holy Israel. And because Sulaiman alayhi salam did not want that to happen, no, he cannot succeed in that effort of his, he made a dua to Allah to grant him his state which none can inherit after him, so that state will end. The state which was established by Dawood alayhi salam and over which he was appointed as divinely appointed Khalifa, and over which his son Sulaiman alayhi salam ruled, that state came to an end, never to be revived. Are you listening in Iran? That state came to an end. No more Khalifa appointed by Allah. None. What followed after that is another state of Israel, not the holy state of Sulaiman alayhi salam. If Dajjal is a jasad, can he be a jinn? Now then, you need only 5 ringgits. Ringgits is the money they use in Malaysia. 5 ringgits worth of intelligence. Enough to buy roti canai and teh tarik. If Dajjal is a jasad, as the Qur'an is directing us in this verse of Surah As-Sad, a jasad cannot be a jinn. Why? A jinn has a ruh. Allah breathed it into the human beings. Allah breathed it into the jinn. Allah breathed it into the angels. They have ruh. That's how they have life. And in addition to that, a jinn has a nafs. A jinn has a nafs. And so Allah has given to the jinn, through his nafs, the capacity to choose, a self-directed will. Yes. So a jinn can choose. And if the jinn chooses the path of faith, then the jinn would be Muslim. And if the jinn chooses the path of rejection of faith, then the jinn would be a shaitan. And the plural of shaitan is shayateen. Dajjal cannot be a jinn because he's just a jasad. So then how does he speak? How does he act? How does he move? How does he pursue his mission of impersonation of the true Messiah? Answer, he does it because he's externally programmed. Today there's a term called artificial intelligence, where you can externally program a robot, for example, to behave in a certain way. Artificial intelligence. So Allah created Dajjal and Allah programmed Dajjal. And whatever Dajjal does, all his actions, all his conduct, everything that he speaks, he does so not on his own accord, because he does not have any ruh, he does not have any nafs. No. Everything he does on the basis of programming, divine programming. So, excuse me, Jordan, no, Dajjal is not a jinn. And Dajjal is not the son of Iblis. I hope that I have settled the issue. Why did I have to spend so much time on this subject? The reason for this is, and I am not boasting, no, anyone who boasts in the world of knowledge, guess what happens? Allah takes away your knowledge from you. That's right. Allah takes away your knowledge from you if you boast. So no, I'm not boasting. If you turn to all the books of tafsir, all the books of tafsir that we are able to put our hands on, you will find that no one in the history of the revelation, since the revelation of the Qur'an, no one has ever explained or interpreted the Jasad in Surah Al-Sad to be Dajjal. It is Allah's kindness to me. I don't deserve this honor. I am the first to declare I don't deserve it. But Allah, in His kindness and in His wisdom, has allowed me to give this interpretation for the first time. And since it is being given for the first time, and it's an interpretation, we have to be humble and say, Allah knows best. Only Allah does not make mistakes. Although I was in New York and I used to give the khutbah at the United Nations in Manhattan once a month, for a whole 10 years. And they'll always warn me, Sheikh Imran, you can't come in the United Nations and blast the United Nations like this. They will take away the hall from us. Every month they will warn me and warn me and warn me and warn me. But I continued seeing. And the head of the Arabic Department, Translation Bureau at the United Nations was a Palestinian. I won't mention his name. I don't know if he's still alive now. Very fine man. So he made me laugh. He said, there are only two people who don't make mistakes, Allah and the Queen of England. The Queen of England says she's infallible. She doesn't make mistakes. Anyhow, that's a little joke or that. So we say Allah knows best. We have given this interpretation of the Jasad, and we are convinced that it is correct. Otherwise, we will not teach it to you. We will not explain it to you, unless we are convinced that it is correct. But because this is the first time since the Qur'an was revealed, that the Qur'an is being used in this way, that this explanation is being offered. And this is why it was necessary for me to devote so much time to try to explain the subject slowly and easily, that no, Dajjal is not a jinn, and Dajjal is not the son of Iblis. That's not true. Since Dajjal is only a Jasad, will Allah judge a Jasad on Judgment Day? Huh? No. The only way you will stand before Allah for judgment on Judgment Day, to be judged, is if you have a nafs, a self, And with that self, you have freedom to choose. A self-directed will. Then, when you choose to act in this way or in that way, you'll have responsibility for your action. Then it's called, in ethical language, it's called conduct. Behavior, which is ethically evaluated, is called conduct. This is moral philosophy. Alhamdulillah, I was able to do my master's degree in philosophy at the University of Karachi. So, Dajjal does not have conduct. No. Dajjal cannot choose between truth and falsehood and decide to choose falsehood instead of truth. No. Dajjal does not have a self-directed will. A Jasad does not have that. No. Dajjal is just a body without a soul and without a self. And I've been saying for how many, 15 years now, that Dajjal will not be tried by Allah on Judgment Day. For judgment, no. And sent to Jannah or Jahannam, no. When Nabi Isa alayhi salam kills Dajjal, as we are told in the hadith he would be killed, then that will be the end of Dajjal. That's the end of Dajjal. Nothing more you'll hear about him. He will pass into non-existence. I hope that this explanation which I have given here tonight from my sitting room here in Trinidad would be understood. There will be no ambiguity, nothing to cause you to be confused. After all, I have spoken clearly and plainly. Why should there be confusion? But if you still have questions, send me an email. And then on Yawmul Ahad, when we have the program on IBN, I will see if I can devote a little part of the time that we have, 1 hour, to answering your questions on Dajjal. But I believe I have succeeded in explaining the subject to you from the Qur'an in a manner which should not be confusing for you. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala might bless you, my students, in the years to come with knowledge of the Qur'an. That's why we must make the dua which is there in the Qur'an. Rabbi zidni ilma. Whenever you recite the Qur'an, tonight is the third night of Rabiul Awal. Yes, the third of Rabiul Awal. And I have already finished reciting Surah Al-Baqarah, and I've already recited Surah Ali Imran, and I've completed about half of Surah An-Nisa. This is my recitation. I don't know about you. Whenever you reciting the Qur'an, try to complete the whole Qur'an once every lunar month. If you are my students, when I'm no longer in this world, I don't know when Allah will call me away. When I'm no longer in this world, please don't say you're my student unless you're reciting the whole Qur'an cover to cover at least once a month. Do not say you are my student. No, unless you are doing this. May Allah make it easy for you. It'll be easy for you to do it if you turn off the television. It'll be easy for you to recite the Qur'an if you get rid of the smartphone. A smartphone is really smart, you know. It takes away your time. That's right. It'll be easy for you if you go to the remote countryside, get out of the city. I'm already making my plans, you know. I'm already making my plans. I'm not going to use cryptocurrency to buy gasoline for my car. No, may Allah help me, may Allah help me, may Allah help me. No, I can't go down that road. So once they demonetize all the paper money, I'm out. You probably won't be able to hear from me again. I won't be able to travel, no. It won't be long again. I have to go to the remote countryside. Yes, and take with me some sheep and goats, yeah. And learn to plant some food. I'm saying to you, there's very little time left. No, very little time left now. So you recite the Qur'an once a month, and every time you recite a passage from the Qur'an for your daily recitation. This is the sunnah of the Prophet. He used to recite a certain passage of the Qur'an every day, every day, every day. And when you finish reciting for the day and you're making a dua, it will be beneficial to recite this dua. Rabbi zidni ilma. Oh Allah, kindly increase for me my knowledge of this Qur'an. That's the most important knowledge in the world. So now let's wind up now with the news that I'll be traveling soon, and I need your dua that I may be able to travel safely. Your duas are important for me. Every time I travel, there is danger. When I travel this time, I'll be away for several months. I have several countries to visit. If you're there in Pakistan, I'm going to try to visit you in Pakistan this time for the first time in about 5 years. And also, I'll be there in Britain at the end of December and early January. And if you want to meet with me in Britain, send me an email and I'll put you in contact with my